Good evening, and welcome to the virtual meeting for Metro Transit's Secure Platform Plan, also known as SPP. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cordell Whitlock from Vector Communications, and it's my pleasure to serve as your moderator. Tonight, we will have an in-depth presentation on the Secure Platform Plan, followed by a question and answer session. We are recording tonight's session, so others who could not join us can have access to this information. Our speaker for tonight's webinar is Kevin Scott, General Manager of Security for Bi-State Development. Working behind the scenes to make sure this webinar runs smoothly is my colleague, Taylor Bardsley from Vector Communications. Taylor, thank you so much. Let's talk about tonight's agenda. It is as follows. Kevin will talk about the Secure Platform Plan. Then I will summarize the public engagement that we have conducted to date for SPP. We will conclude with Kevin answering your questions. We also have a comment form that we would like you to fill out. Please complete the SPP comment form by Tuesday, July 11th. Simply scan the QR codes on the screen to access the comment form. Again, this comment form will be available through Tuesday, July 11th, and it's extremely important that everyone fill this out. Public feedback is critical. Before we begin, we will first review our virtual meeting protocol. To enable closed captioning, please select Show Captions and your language of choice on the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screen. During this meeting, all attendees are on mute so everyone can hear clearly. If you have a question, click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and write your question to Q&A. Once again, if you have a question, click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and write your questions to Q&A. You can submit a written question anytime during our webinar. When it comes time for Q&A, I will read each question out loud and Kevin will answer them. Your questions will only be answered if you submit them in writing through the Q&A box. Thank you. At this time, please welcome Kevin Scott, General Manager of Security for Bi-State Development. Kevin, it's a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Cordell, thank you, and thank everyone who is in attendance. To talk about or to learn a little bit more about the Secured Platform Plan. You will hear us commonly refer to secured platforms. We commonly use the acronym SPP just by habit. So if that happens to slip out of my mouth during the overall presentation, that is what the terminology means, Secure Platform Plan. Now, this is a Metro Transit project, obviously Bi-State Development is our parent company and operates St. Louis Metro Transit. And a decision has been made by leadership to move forward with providing enhanced security on all of the MetroLink platforms. So when I say MetroLink, Metro Transit encompasses three major modes of transportation. MetroLink is 46 miles of light rail alignment from Shrewsbury and Lambert Airport, marrying at Forest Park, running congruently to Fairview Heights, Illinois, where the blue line stops, and the red line continues to Shiloh Scott, which currently is the easternmost platform for MetroLink. There is an expansion underway by the St. Clair County Transit District to extend Metro Transit 5.5 miles around Scott Air Force Base. So a 39th platform will soon be under construction at that airport. So this project focuses on security gating enhancement and fencing enhancement for the MetroLink system itself. And SPP, as you'll learn as we progress, focuses on three factors: high security gates, rotary type turnstile gates, and ADA compliant swing gates accompanying the roto gates. In addition to that, a welded wired fencing system, predominantly 8 feet in height, that we will use along the alignment to complement the security enhancements with the gating system itself. But it's not just about gates and fences. There is also, as you will see later in the slideshow, a complete upgrade of our closed circuit television system, which we commonly refer to as CCTV. Right now, we house about 800 cameras system-wide. That includes all of the MetroLink platforms, as well as the major transit centers. That technology is all being upgraded to new digital systems, and the number of cameras on the MetroLink alignment and at the overall transit centers basically are being doubled. We're going to go from 800 to approximately 1,600 cameras by the time this project is done. That very important technology, which complements security, is tied into a real-time camera center that is proactively viewed in real time by full-time staff. And we'll talk about more about the importance of that as we get to that slide at the end. But what you are seeing now is a rendering by HNTB, which is the design engineering firm that we have hired. This is the concept that we are moving forward with. As a matter of fact, the gating systems are Orion products. And we just signed our first agreement with Will Electronics here in St. Louis as the provider for the Orion products for the first package of SPP. So the same concept will play out platform after platform across the totality of the alignment. Next slide, please. Just to give you a more up-close visual of the gating systems themselves. From the very inception of this project, we have stressed that if we are going to spend the time and the money to move to a closed platform system, if we do not put in gates and fencing that maximize the reduction in breaching opportunity, this will be a failed project. There's no reason to move forward with half-height turnstiles, systems that people can climb over or crawl under. It would defeat the purpose. And so we have asked for a vision from our engineers and from our leadership team that provide true enhanced security, of gates and fences that provide true enhanced security for the platforms themselves. Now, I also need to kind of pause here and let you know that in conjunction with SPP, Metro Transit has also traversed into a major project to upgrade the total fare collection system on the transit system, both bus and rail. And that includes all new hardware, a realignment of our fare media, and the influx of mobile application in that fare media. So that is a corresponding project that is ultimately going to be tied into SPP. So the new fare collection system will have to communicate with the gating systems. When valid fare is produced and validated, whether it's a ticket, whether it's a mobile application or a pass, the gates will recognize that and release and allow the person through. So this is not just about, again, gates and fences. It's about an extraordinary technological integration that includes closed circuit television and an enhanced overall communication system as well. I want to talk to you a little bit about the packages and how we're moving this project forward. This is a very cumbersome process. And if we treated this in totality, all 38, 39 locations, and we waited for all of the engineering, the plan reviews, the surveying, everything to play out in totality in bid construction to work on the entire process, we would see gates probably no sooner than 2027. And that really is not what the region has asked for. Since 1993, MetroLink has operated as an open concept system, meaning you can just walk right onto the platforms. Fare collection or fare checking is done pretty much on the light rail vehicles by fare enforcers. And this puts us at a disadvantage. There are a lot of circumstances that play out in other parts of the communities surrounding our properties that ultimately traverse onto our platforms. This will help us have better control of that, all while impacting true security on the platforms, as well as the perception of security, making people feel safer as they use MetroLink. So we went back to HNTB and we asked for a schedule that produces a packaged approach so that we can shave time off of the end of this project. So package number one, we have made a selection to start at 4 properties, all in St. Clair County, College, which is Southwestern Illinois College, or SWIC, Emerson Park, Jackie Joyner Kersey Center, and Washington Park. We know as we move through package number one or conclude package number one, we most likely will not have integration with the fare collection system. And so it was important to select a first package or a beta test type package that would allow us from the very first day the gates are put in to make them or to ensure that they're security impactful. They will have to be staffed 21 hours a day, and fare will have to be manually checked by security personnel, which will proxy card people through the gates. So that is why we have made those selections. We certainly could not tackle a project of this size, build everything out, flip a switch at the end, and hope everything works. That would certainly not be the way to progress through this. These 4 platforms also needed very little engineering reconcepting, so they were very easy to move forward with. And they're also very easy to staff by security. Some of the larger platforms, such as Central West End, Grand, Civic Center, take multiple security officers to secure without fare collection in place to complement the gating system. Package number 2, and I will talk a little bit more about the schedule in a few minutes, but package number 2 will be Central West End, Civic Center, Cortex, Del Mar, Forest Park, Grand, and Union Station. So going back to package number 1 before we advance, we are approaching 95% design. We know there will have to be some modifications made, but our anticipation is that we will bid for construction on package number 1 in early August of this year, 2023. And we anticipate that package number 1 will be fully installed and staffed by security mid to end of first quarter of 2024. Package number 2 is already in design. And as a matter of fact, next week, we will approach 30% design on package number 2. And our anticipation is that we will bid package number 2 for construction in November of this year. Next slide, please. Here is just an overview of the packages of this cascading approach that we've put together. So as you can see, as one project or one package moves for construction, a second package is right behind and is preparing also to be implemented. So this is how the packages are broken down. Looking at your screen, obviously package number 1 is in the far upper left-hand corner. Package number 6 is in the bottom right-hand corner. We believe and we feel very confident that we could have complete implementation of all of the locations by spring of 2025. Next slide, please. We have, just for visual, we have kind of low 30% level drawings that we've included in our PowerPoint. So here is an example of Jackie Joyner Kersey. Obviously, the green oval represents where the gating systems will go, and then how the fencing will run along the alignment. I'm commonly asked how far the fencing will go. It will depend on each location. At many locations, there are natural barriers. At some locations, there are grade crossings to roadways that run perpendicular to the tracks. And so we will have to modify fencing there and put enhanced camera systems at the end of those fences. Package number 1, there is a very different approach at each of the platforms in package number 1. So it does give us an opportunity to address some things that we are going to face time and time again as we move out through the total alignment. Next slide, please. And Emerson Park. Obviously, there is a new building going in at Emerson Park. This is a St. Clair County Transit District project. It is a new public safety building. The secured platform plan will also be implemented at Emerson Park as a separate project. And this will just give you an idea of that layout. Emerson Park is one of the locations where you have a major roadway that and a grade crossing not too far from the platform down the tracks. And so this will give us an opportunity to understand what we will have to do to enhance security at the end of the fencing. We also have to consider sight triangles for our train operators and also pedestrians crossing the at-grade areas. One of the other reasons why we chose the welded wire type fencing is we have to, again, maintain sight alignment. And as you look through a welded wire fence at a 45-degree angle, there is not substantial diminishment of sight alignment. There are a lot of other fencing concepts out there that do have greatly diminished sight alignment at 45-degree angles or onset of the fence itself. And so that was a major consideration. Next slide, please. The funding for the project, obviously, I am the project leader. I am not responsible for the funding package. Our leadership with Bi-State put the funding package together, but this is how it breaks down. Of the $52 million, $12 million in bond refinancing proceeds that are dedicated to security in St. Louis County, $12 million in Illinois allocation. This is federal stimulus money. $17.25 million in Bi-State Development Capital and American Recovery Plan funding. But the most intriguing thing is we have $10.75 million from private sector St. Louis to help fund this project. There is an enormous interest from private sector St. Louis to make MetroLink safer. And so we appreciate their participation. They are very clear that they want this project carried out. They want gating systems and fencing systems that truly enhance security. And so we are working to implement these packages as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. This current slide, obviously, really what I want to display here to you is that this has received unanimous support amongst the three funding jurisdictions of Bi-State Development, from Chairman Mark Kern in St. Clair County to Mayor Jones in the city of St. Louis and Dr. Page in St. Louis County. It has received unanimous support from the Bi-State Development Board of Commissioners, half of which reside in Missouri and half of which reside in Illinois. In totality, they are unanimous that they want this project to move forward and move forward very quickly. And then certainly the funding model that I presented to you, with the exception of the private sector contributions, the remaining funding model is being influxed into Bi-State's capital and operating budget for the fiscal year. Next slide, please. One of the things that we have done as well, in conjunction with all of the security upgrades that we have made, from personnel to how we use technology, which I'll get to in just a minute, is we have adopted now system-wide a relationship with Chestnut Health Systems based in Bloomington, Illinois. This process was actually started as a pilot in St. Clair, the St. Clair County Transit District, on MetroLink by Ken Sharkey, who is the managing director of the transit district, where a team of clinical personnel from Chestnut were placed on MetroLink for overall customer engagement. Obviously, we move a population where there is some need for support or resources that we as a company or a transit district are not equipped to provide. And these relationships that we have with Chestnut Health allow them to bring to the table a number of supporting agencies to provide direction, housing, counseling, whatever the need is for individuals who frequent the system, but are in severe need of additional resources, again, that we can't provide. Each of the teams is staffed with a bachelor level or master level counselor. In addition to that, there is a lived peer recovery specialist on each team as well. So it began in St. Clair County. Obviously, we are one operating system. And so as we watch the progress of the pilot in St. Clair County, we wanted to branch the same services out system-wide. And so we have done that. There are 2 teams in Illinois, soon to be 3, 2 train teams and a bus team. And then there are 2 teams that work in Missouri. It is all under the same administrative leadership, and it is one seamless program. It has been very successful. They are able to intervene on things that security and police certainly are not equipped to handle, and or it is not the right time for police or security involvement. So we're very pleased with this and have a significant interest in seeing this program grow. Last slide, and I will actually go back to the technical side of SPP. I mentioned earlier that as part of this overall project, that we were completely upgrading our closed circuit television system. And what you're looking at here is the RealTime camera center located at Metro Transit's central facility. It operates 24/7. And all of the camera feeds feed into this center and are watched live by security or law enforcement personnel. We have a very fluid population. Everything is moving on the transportation system. And so it is important to have overall eyes so that we're able to make adjustments or move security assets where we need to go, intervene before things happen. When you think about an overall security program, you have your staffing, you have your security guards and your police officers, but you can only have so many of them. All other things that complement your staffing, that enhance your security program, are referred to as security force multipliers. So technology, hardscape changes such as the gating and the fencing, crime prevention through environmental designs, shrubbery, lighting, visibility from the roadways, things like that all play into your overall security structure. But if you made a list of force multipliers in order of importance, closed circuit television would always top the list. It gives you an advantage that you don't have with other elements of force multiplication. And so it is very important with this technology to view it proactively and not reactively. And that's what we have done with the RealTime Camera Center. The RealTime Camera Center was actually step 1 of the secured platform program. And this room or this center will become the control center for the gates as we move forward. And I believe that is my last slide. So what I'd like to do is send this back to my colleague, Cordell Whitlock. He's going to talk about regional engagement.
Kevin, thank you for that presentation. And you and your staff have been quite busy for the last year and a half in terms of connecting with the community, informing everyone about SPP. Since April of 2022, Bi-State has met with over 31 individuals and organizations to talk about the Secure Platform Plan. Also, SPP was presented to the public during last month's public meetings regarding MetroLink expansion. Yesterday, Metro Transit hosted an in-person SPP open house in Belleville that was well attended. All of this SPP engagement will be ongoing through the fall. Now it's time to answer your questions. As a reminder, if you have a question, click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and write your questions to Q&A. Okay, Kevin, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, first question. If there is an emergency while inside the secured area, how will people get out?
All of the gates exiting the platforms are free flowing. There is also an ADA complement where a person with ADA need would hit a button, and the real-time camera center will release that gate or open that gate for persons in need. But all of the gates, in case of an emergency, are free flowing. The other thing that you need to know, and that's an exceptional question, is in the case of significant power loss, all the gates will release.
Okay, next question. Will there be a security personnel at the station after the secure system gets installed?
So secure platform plan will, without question, change the dynamic of security or how we use security. Right now in the open system, we go out of our way to try to provide a balance. So just to give you a snippet of how this works, we rotate security through zones on MetroLink. So at any given time, half the platforms are being covered while half the trains are being covered. And those locations of the platforms and the trains change continuously. However, secured platforms will change that dynamic where now we've established a secure perimeter around the alignment. And I do believe that in order for SPP to be fully effective, staffing will have to be in place. There will have to be security components at those locations. Obviously, package number one, it is of the utmost necessity because we will not have integration with the fare collection system. We will also need to vet the dynamics of the gates and things, maybe breaching attempts that we're seeing and how we're going to mitigate those as we move down the road. But without question, security personnel will be a very important part of SPP on the platforms.
The next question from an attendee is, I am blind, and will the entrances and new fare boxes have braille and large print or audio to assist in their use?
Yes, I'm not an expert on the fare collection side, but that is all being taken into consideration. And as we move closer into final design, we will be able to put out more information about how that will work and what we're putting in place to assist you.
Okay, our next question. When will the senior passes be reissued to work with the gates?
Again, that's a fare collection question or a fare media type question. And I really am focused on the design and implementation of the gating systems. And so we can certainly record this question and provide an answer to the participant, but I'm just not in a position to provide an accurate answer tonight. I don't know what the timetable is for that.
And I think this next question falls into that category, Kevin, but I think it's important to ask it nonetheless.
Sure.
What tactile or audible signals will be incorporated into the new system to guide blind passengers through the gates, with understanding that there are larger full height gates that will allow dog guide customers through as turnstiles are often too narrow?
Yeah, we will be able to provide more specifics as we conclude 95% design. Obviously, we're forever dependent on HNTB and our ADA personnel at Bi-State to help us traverse those questions. But there will be a process in place that will be publicized.
Okay, our next question. Will the Belleville station still be able to access from both sides of, let me see if I can read this, from both sides of Shield Street as it is now?
Yes, you will be able to access. So Belleville falls into package number 5 for design. So we don't have any design levels done for Belleville yet. But the layout of that platform and the traffic, the pedestrian traffic, there's no belief that we would close access to either side.
Okay. Next question. Are you installing metal detectors?
So we should not be in the metal detection business. That is not what we do. We're a public transportation company. However, the regional dynamic that we've seen, certainly well articulated by the new circuit attorney, and specifically in St. Louis County, who referred to the fact that we are in currently a violent crime crisis. We have seen a proliferation of weapons throughout the region. So we are moving into a metal detector pilot program. We purchased a system for random scanning. It is a 4-week pilot that we're going to trial. And based on the results of that pilot, we will determine how many of those systems that we will purchase for continued random scanning. We will never be in a position to install TSA type metal detection scanning processes at all of the platforms. It would negatively impact the connectivity and the schedule of Metro Transit.
Okay, I just want to remind people to click on the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom screen and write your questions to Q&A. These are all the questions that we have so far, but I want to make sure that we cover everybody before we wrap up tonight. Anybody else have any questions?
Cordell, I would just like to add one thing. I think it's an important point. And I want to reiterate that although we have a corresponding fare collection program and moving forward in conjunction with SPP, and that is certainly an important component in a needed process. Make no mistake that SPP is a security upgrade. And we want to make sure that the implementations that are put in place, from the gates to the fencing to how we use the technology, provide a lasting security impact for years to come.
Hey, Kevin, before we go, I have one last question.
Sure.
How has the project been received? Because you've done extensive engagement for about 15 months now, individuals, organizations, community groups. How has the project been received?
The project, from neighborhood associations to business leadership of the NAACP, both in St. Louis County and St. Louis City, to clergy leadership, chambers of commerce, all of the information that we've provided and all of the feedback that we have gotten has all been very positive. Look, I've lived in St. Louis pretty much all my life. It's my hometown. This open concept light rail system has always been a topic of conversation. I can walk through my neighborhood tonight and talk to my neighbors about MetroLink, and they will say, why don't you guys have gates or turnstiles up? So this is something that as a region has been prioritized, and that's why we're moving forward with it. So to answer your question, certainly all of those engagements have been very positive, and people are glad to see this process moving forward. The only negative comment that we've gotten is it needs to move faster. So I don't know that I can move the process much faster, but we are certainly working to do that.
Kevin, how will you measure the success of this project?
Well, I think, obviously what we're trying to do is create a safe environment. Look, we have an enormous amount of individuals who use this system every day that depend on it to go to work, to go to school, to shop, to go to the hospitals, doctor's appointments. And we have participation by individuals who ride this system that use it in a discretionary fashion. But the bottom line is everybody wants to feel safe. And, what we're trying to do from a security standpoint is build as much of a layered security bubble around our assets as possible. I am not in a position, nor is anyone on my team in a position, to rectify the challenges that we face in public safety on a regional level. So our focus is, from a security standpoint, on our systems themselves. So everybody wants to feel safe, but nothing that we do, Cordell, is 100% the answer. And that's why I talk about the layers of programs that we've put in place. And SPP is another layer that provides us an opportunity to influx additional safety. And that corresponds with personnel, both security and then law enforcement officers from the 3 major jurisdictions that we use. It includes the technology. It includes all of the things that I've mentioned from a security enhancement perspective. That's what a sound security program is. I cannot sit here today and tell you, oh, we'll put in gates and fencing and a new fare collection system, and we won't face challenges. We will always face challenges. Security is a process that is ever evolving and never ending. And if I sat here and said, yeah, once we get this done, I think we're going to be good. You wouldn't want to hear that. That would not be an accurate answer. We should always be challenging ourselves, do better and make a more robust security impact. But I think at the end of the day, to answer the question, all of us want to build ridership. Metro Transit, MetroLink is a profound asset to St. Louis. MetroLink is an economic driver. And if we are going to remain competitive or even be competitive as a region with the rest of the country, when you talk about the growth and the attraction from people outside of our region, safe and sound public transportation that's convenient and easy to use is extremely important.
Kevin, I want to thank you for your presentation tonight. Please complete our comment form by Friday, July 7th. As I mentioned earlier, simply scan the QR codes on the screen to access the comment form. This form will remain open until Friday, July 7th. Also, if we did not get to your question tonight because of time, or you think of a question after we end, no problem. Go to the homepage of metrostlouis.org/SPP. We have a link on the screen, and fill out the form at the bottom of that page. Once again, go to metrostlouis.org/SPP. You can click on that now, fill out the form at the bottom of the page, and someone will respond to your question or concern in a timely manner. On behalf of Kevin Scott with Bi-State, we appreciate your time and participation. This concludes tonight's webinar. Thank you and stay safe.